Welcome. So a juicy one tonight. I don't know about you, but social media is feeling a little bit weird at the minute. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit. But anyhow, this live is going to be for you if you are thinking about what your next steps are in terms of scaling. So you are fully booked, you've reached an income ceiling, and you're thinking, what the heck can I do next? What are the options that I've got? Because there's some myths flying around. There's a little bit of BS on the internet at the moment. A few things hold me back. So, what to do? Thanks for showing up, guys. Was anyone on my other ones? Has anyone been in DMs with me? My DMs are absolutely berserk, but so interesting hearing your stories. And just as like a side note, when you are so busy or you're so overbooked beyond capacity, you always feel like you're the only person in this position because everyone on social media is talking about how quiet they are. This is the first time we've ever that I've ever had this conversation where I haven't just gone straight to DMs where I've said to comment a particular word. Go and have a look at how many people comment on my posts because you are not alone. There are heaps and heaps. And then there's a whole bunch of other people who are in DMs as well. Okay, so I just say that to make you feel less alone. People feel like this is a private problem. This is something that they can't be mad about without feeling like a bit of a dick. So you are not a dick. You're allowed to absolutely hate being super, super busy. In fact, I did a live stream about that a little while ago. So this is for you if you want to grow your profit. So I'm not just talking about revenue, as I say, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is king. So this is for you if you want to improve my favorite thing ever, profit. We don't just want to bang a load of revenue on because what's the point? This is for you if you are on the verge of burnout, or you are maybe in burnout or even past burnout. I've had some quite shocking chats with people who are like physically, mentally, emotionally at this stage right now because they are so booked out and so busy, but they can't even feel like they can stop or take any time off because who's going to say to their clients? It's a really stressful position to be in. On that note, your body's starting to give up. For those of you who don't know, I had back surgery at 31 and I was only behind the chair for 12 years at that point. And if I didn't have another revenue stream, another income stream, as in this business, so this business was 2-3 years old when that happened, I don't even want to think about how absolutely screwed I would have been having to take that time away from my clients. I was able to make a full recovery and thankfully not wreck my back again. And now I'm in the gym, having a wonderful time. And if I was behind the chair, I know full fact, I either would not have had surgery because I couldn't have, or I would have come back far too early and not have recovered properly. I know full well that that's what I would have done if I was behind the chair and didn't, in the stage that I was beyond booked out, and if I didn't have another revenue stream. So this is why it's so important to me personally, because I've been in that position. Luckily, I was in a fortunate position, but I would absolutely hate for someone to be, to not have that sort of safety net or that sort of, not like backup plan, but options, alternatives. Yeah. And this is also for you if you've just really not got any plan of what to do next. If you're thinking, okay, this is me, I'm fully booked. I want to scale, I want to, increase my revenue profits, but I literally have no idea how I'm going to do that. So most of the people I'm speaking to, the first thing that they've done is done a price increase, and you've done it with the hope, the intention of losing some clients and therefore freeing up some time. What happens? It backfires. It doesn't backfire. It's like a good outcome, but I have, I'll tell you about this in a second, actually, some specific people I want to talk about. Some of you have just tried to like white knuckle it, where you've just taken a pen to your diary or, like an online version and just went, right, I'm taking out all my Thursdays. I'm not going to do Wednesdays anymore, or I'm going to drop Saturdays. But what happens when you try and just randomly drop a day? Well, one, you've just cut off like a fifth of your income, which is like super scary, by the way. Oh, there's me little, I always laugh when they go up, little thumbs up bubble. But saying no, doing the first sort of round of having to say no to clients who would usually book on that day or that time, it racks you full of horrible guilt. And you felt like you were watching like hundreds and hundreds of pounds or dollars walk out the door when you were saying no to those clients, which feels very, very stressful because it feels like it's a direct threat on your financial security. Maybe you thought, I'm going to knuckle down, I'm going to get my head down. My favorite phrase, I'm going to make hay while the sun shines. And you've thought, maybe I'll just take the business now, because if I make a bunch of money up front, maybe I have to work a little bit less hard, down the line. Or I just naturally free up a little bit more time down the line. Or you just felt a pressure to work more now because the demand's there and you've just thought, this might not be around forever. Look at what the lockdowns taught us. Like, let's just take this while I can. Yeah. Because you don't know what's around the corner. And we still don't. Anything can happen. And I understand feeling like that. Maybe you have tried or are thinking about other streams of revenue. And this is one of the things I kind of laugh at. I'm going to touch on. But maybe you've considered doing something like education, doing what I do, doing coaching, mentoring, doing online courses, having a membership, having a subscription box, making an ebook, getting your reward and education training, working with brands, anything to just think, right, if I'm making all my money one-to-one working with clients, time is finite. I only have a certain amount of time. I also only have a certain amount of energy. How can I leverage that time and make more money for the same amount of time? So how can I scale from that one-to-one client work to like a one-to-many model, something scalable, something passive, that kind of thing. And I'd love to know what else you've tried. Let us know in the comments if there's any other tactics and tricks and things that you've done to try and really kind of break through that income ceiling once you've hit that. I'd love to know. So why do these things not tend to work? So the price increase tends to backfire. A lot of people will lose no clients or they'll lose very few clients. They will then accidentally trigger this like elevated psychological perspective of value from the client's perspective, where especially if you become the most expensive in an area, that becomes attractive in and of itself. There's a status attached to that. It becomes like, I go to this person. I go to so-and-so. He does my hair, she does my hair, that kind of thing. I always tell a story about a very lovely close industry friend of mine who I helped with pricing many moons ago, very early days for me, pricing wise in 2020. And she said, I want to reduce my workload. There was like health things going on. I want to reduce my workload. She had a team. So it was like ideal situation. I'll put my prices up this high. I'll put the teams up this high. Surely all my clients will go to my team and that'll free up my time. What happened? Not one single person wanted to move and go to the lower price team member or leave. Everyone wanted to stay with this person, to the point where she had to write a list, like a hit list of like, these are my absolute favorite rockstar clients that I want to keep. I think there's like 20. Everyone else has to go to my team. That then triggered this scarcity like psychology. And then everyone was like, no, I want to be in your list. I want to stay with you. And actually it elicited like a bidding war with some people. Some folks were like, well, I'll pay more. I know you've put your price up to this, but can I pay a tenner more and can I stay? So like, do not underestimate the psychology around raising prices. I find it super interesting. So I don't want to say backfire like it's a negative thing. Obviously, everyone's pleased. Staff were getting paid more, businesses making more, but it just didn't go the way that that she anticipated that it would go. Certainly, the whole making hay. I always say, like, what happens if the sun keeps shining? What happens if we're in that in the North Pole where there's just like 20 hours a day, like 24 hours a day, like what happens if that's the case? Can you honestly keep going on like this? Can your mind, can your body, can your relationship sustain this current workload into the future? If you don't, it's like that phrase is, if you don't make time for wellness, you'll be forced to make time for illness. Back surgery. That's just a little tiny baby. And I see that with some of our breakthrough bosses as well, where by the time they join the program, by the time we start working together, they are like on the brink. They are literally like, I'm looking at Tesco jobs. I'm on Indeed on a Sunday night. Like, I am literally considering all of my options out of the industry, even though they've got this like successful business with this really high demand, because they're just like, I cannot deal with this anymore. And it feels even worse because everyone thinks you're successful. Everyone tells you that you're successful, but it doesn't feel it. What you are experiencing does not feel like what you thought success would feel like. It feels like the opposite. It feels like a freaking nightmare for a lot of people. Work while the demand is there and then retire, one of the options. Again, is this sustainable? Like, what will your 70s look like if you're lucky enough to retire at 70? If you have spent the previous 3 or 4 decades on your feet doing hair or nails or lashes or semi-permanent makeup or facials or whatever you do for 60 hours a week, like, I knew how mangled I felt at 31, and I remember thinking to myself, "Hi, Rocco." I remember thinking to myself, "I am not," like, I always thought I would work. I would literally I genuinely always thought I'd do hair for my entire life. But when my back started to go, I thought, "I'm not even gonna see 35 behind the chair." Like, how are we gonna start seeing hairdressers and beauty therapists in, like, the 60s, 70s, and 80s when this is the level that you're working at the moment? Because what goes out the window when you're stacked? Yoga, gym, walking, eating a decent diet, like meal prepping, stretching, Pilates, like whatever those things are, therapy, getting a massage, chiropractic, physio, like whatever those self-care things are, they're the first to go when you're like, I'm so busy, I need to see my clients. And those are the things that can be the most sort of preventative, and help us to feel our best. It's like this irony that you don't get to do those things until you've found the time to do them. But we feel like we don't have the time because we're just stuck working with clients. The other thing with having ideas for revenue streams, what do you need to do this, right? And this is why I want to just call out a bit of bullshit that I'm seeing on the internet at the moment. You need time to explore these other avenues. And that's what so many of you have absolutely none of at the moment. So for me, and I make no, I don't try to hide this in any way, shape, or form. One thing that was so helpful for me in my journey in terms of timing was the lockdown, because that's when I was able to build my pricing calculator app. That was when I was able to put together my first program in a circle. That's when I was able to go live into my group and build my audience and speak to my community and show up for them. And all of these things were done in a 15-week lockdown, right? And I just think we need to be realistic. Like, yes, if I started again tomorrow, there's ways that I can speed that process up, but it certainly doesn't happen in a couple of minutes. And it certainly doesn't happen in 30 minutes after a 12-hour shift. Like when I'm chatting with some of you guys in the DMs asking you what shifts you're doing, in fact, tell me in the comments, like, what's your workload at the moment? Like, what hours do you work? What days do you work? What's client time? What's admin time? Let us know. And what are days off? If there is such a thing. I'd love to know what this is for each of you. So you cannot, like, anyone who tells you you're going to make 10k a month, 100k a month in 10 minutes, are talking absolute shit, right? Unless it's the most scammy thing. Don't even get started on MRR. I'm going to have a conversation about that another day. There's this like plethora of like scammy BS, like get rich quick schemes. Trust me, nothing that will be around in 5 years it doesn't take an investment of time up front. There's just no getting around it. Like, yes, it's I think in a sense easy. I think it's available 100%. I don't think it's saturated. I think there's space for everyone. I firmly believe that everyone has in them something that they can scale, but it takes time. Like the investment there is time, 100%. And I'd be doing you a massive disservice if I told you that you could do it in 10 minutes, right? So what happens when you can do this, when you can work this out? You can work fewer hours, but it's imperative that obviously the money is there. We don't want to feel like you've, like I say, pushed off a cliff without your parachute. We don't want super stressful times. Balayage baby, I love that name. I work 10 to 6, 34 days a week, always end up squeezing a client in when I'm meant to be closed. Yeah, that's it. It's like, what are your official opening hours and what are the like wink wink? And do you do this way where like you psychologically, you're like, oh, well, I'm already at work that day. I'm here. So what's another client? And then you like forget what your husband looks like, forget what a hot meal tastes like. You very much remember what McDonald's drive-through tastes like. If you're me, eating that like midnight every night. It's a slippery slope, isn't it? And it comes from, I think, this fear. And again, I think it's this like pandemic hangover of, what if this all gets taken away again? What if this isn't my situation? What if this is temporary? Or there's like a lot of stuff around like letting people down, not having great boundaries, wanting to avoid conflict, people pleasing, etc., that kind of stuff. So also one of the things that we work on is reducing service menus as well. So that can be really helpful. Not imperative for everyone, but it's something that we definitely look at. And focusing on what's actually sustainable for the life that you want. Like, think about the long term, roll a tape forward. Like, is how you're working this week, next week, the next month, over the last 6 months, is that sustainable for another year? Like, if we were chatting a year from now, would you be like buzzing if this had continued for a year? If the answer is no, if you even shudder to think about dealing with this time next year, that's an indication that something needs to change. But the question is how to do all of this and to grow profits at the same time. So this is exactly what I help people with inside of my breakthrough program. So I can't even keep up with some of the outcomes that people have had. So we're just wrapping up on cohort 3 now. We're going into cohort 4. We've had Bosses launch education. I want to shout out in particular Effie Nails, who I absolutely adore, Rachel, who helps nail techs to work on set. We've had Josie, who did her AET literally as she was doing breakthrough and launch education. We had Anna, who's also launched education. And the point of breakthrough it's not a place where I help you to launch education, but it's designed to give you the time and the clarity in the space. Yes, we do have a bit of a chit chat about that anyway, but it gives them, it's that crucial step that you need before you go and do that. And I wonder how hard that would have been, or why they didn't do that before when they didn't have time, when they were working so much with clients. And those are just like off the top of my head, like there are so many other people who are exploring different avenues. Some people have upsized in terms of opened salons. Some people have had complete shifts around what they want and thought, I don't want to have my salon anymore. Like, we've really reassessed in that sort of safe, comfortable zone of like the breakthrough gang. What do I actually want and how do I get there? Whether it's growth in terms of loads of salons, whether it's scaling back and thinking, I just want to work on my own terms. I don't want to manage people anymore. Some people have hired within breakthrough. Like, that's one of the things I love about it. And it's such a big part of my beliefs and ethos is like, there is no one way to be successful in this industry. I'm so sick of marketing that's like, you have to do this. And, this is the way you have to employ, or you have to have freelancers, or you have to work on your own, or you have to have a salon, or, mobile's no good, or whatever. Whatever works for you is the right thing. Whatever feels successful and right for you is the right thing. What I want to do is just help you work out the steps to get there in the way that's as profitable as humanly possible, as sustainable as humanly possible, and where it frees up that time and mental capacity in that space for you to work on whatever those next steps are. There are so many different options for you, but time really is the thing that lives between this and the next thing. If you're like me, I have a business idea every day, but it's time, isn't it? It's like you can have all the ideas in the world, and as entrepreneurs we do, especially my neural spicy brain friends, we have loads of ideas, but it's like, where do you have the time to actually even start putting this into practice, right? So does that all make sense? Are we good? Good. So on that note, if you haven't already, send me a DM with the word busy. If you are currently booked out, so for me, that's like 80% plus to like over 100%. If you are booked or beyond booked or overbooked, and you want to drop 1 day a week of client work sustainably, so I don't mean a one-hit wonder, I mean sustainably for the foreseeable, without sacrificing any profits. In fact, my aim with you is to increase your profits whilst doing that, so you can explore these other avenues, these next steps, whether that is scaling your income, whether it's just having a break. Because some people do breakthrough to literally just have a break, to just get that time back. Some people do their amazing big next steps, scale up, scale their income. Some people are just like, I've done my bit. I just want to enjoy more money and actually have the time. I want to go to the gym. I want to go to Pilates. I want to have a nice coffee in the middle of the Wednesday afternoon. And that is absolutely fine as well. If this is you, just send me a DM with the word busy. I'll show you how we can work together to do that. Thank you so much for turning up. I'm going to pin this to the feed as well if you need to catch the replay for those just joining. Wonderful. If you've got any questions at all, pop them on a comment, or if you want to chat privately, just shoot me a DM and I will have a little chat with you. Thank you so much for your time. I'll speak to you in a bit. Bye.